Now we're live. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Anyone out there can see us?
Yeah. So we'll just,
This is our time.
yeah, we'll see. There's a little bit delay. Hey, guys. So I guess we're just going to ramble a little bit just so we can test our software and talk about some stuff. So it looks like, okay, so I see the comments are coming now. I see.
Okay.
Hey, Kevin and Devin. Kevin and Devin. Hi, Kevin and Devin.
Anybody
I don't know if you can see from your end, but I can see some of the people commenting. So anyway, so you know what I want to talk about? I made a video about gay cakes, and I want to correct a couple things.
Okay.
First of all, I don't think the guy's an asshole. I call the guy an asshole. The baker, an asshole. Well, just because I have a lot of gay people in my life and a lot of gay, friends. I have some family members I adore, and when I feel like they're being discriminated against, I get really protective and mad. So when I first heard the story, and it was my bad for not really looking into as much, I thought the guy didn't want to serve them, and because they were gay, and everybody gets discriminated against. You can get discriminated against for your race. Doesn't matter if you're black or white. You can get discriminated against because you're fat, because of your sexual orientation. So gay people aren't the only people that get discriminated against. But I know when you do get discriminated against, it sucks and it's horrible. So I was like, yeah, if the guy didn't refuse them service because they were gay, then he's an asshole. So when I went back and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, well, it was more about his religious belief, and him not wanting to, believing that a marriage is against a man and a woman,
right? And
not two men. Which I mean, if it were me, I would have made the cake. I don't have an issue with that, but it's still his right to refuse them service, just as any business's right to refuse people service that they don't want. And I would urge all these people that are so offended, especially people that, think about something that you hate, something that you're strongly against, right, but you would have to make a cake or do something business related to for something that you hate. Like people that hate, Trump, right? You hate Trump. Would you be wanting to do something for, supporting him or putting him in a good light if that's what you are against? So it's more about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, not being able to, or being able to have the right to reject something that goes against your conscience. Does that make sense, people? Right?
Yeah, and then the other thing too is that this wasn't just business decision. He's also an artist, so he feels that his cakes are an expression of his beliefs as an artist. So if you're an artist, I mean, and let's say you're a Christian, you're probably not gonna in the same token, you wouldn't want to support people that were Satanist, or something like
totally.
that.
Yeah, totally.
Because that would be well, I don't, that goes against my religion. You're the opposite of my religion, so I'm not going to support that. And those guys' cakes were the bomb, though, too. I'd be mad too. I want him to make me a cake. His cakes are amazing. And they were mad because they couldn't have his amazing cakes, and he did offer to make a cake. He just said he didn't want to do a wedding cake. So he wasn't refusing them service because they were gay. He just said the wedding is between a man and a woman. And so Patrick says, hatred is a central element of our struggle. Yeah, and I would agree.
Yeah, and there's somebody that I don't know. It was a lady. Sorry, I forgot your name. You posted something in the comments, giving me more insight into the baker side of things, and thank you for that. And I watched that video, and then I watched in the recommendations. Of course, they had a segment on The View where they invited the baker and his lawyer to come on. Mm-hmm. God, I hate The View. I hate them so much.
They're so wretched. They're such wretched. When I was a young,
they're like devolving women. I just
oh they're terrible. When I was a young mom and I was a stay-at-home mom, I used to watch The View, and my husband would come in and walk in on me and be like, "I don't even know how you understand them." Because all they do is like the word, like they're just awful, and I don't see what you like about this show. And I mean, back in those days, I mean, I don't know. I was a stay-at-home mom, and stay-at-home moms watched The View. I watched Dr. Phil too, but I mean,
Dr. Phil's good.
Dr. Phil's all right though, I will say. But but looking back on that, I mean, he was right. Like, it's so weird that they're so popular as they are because they talk over each other. It is hard to kind of understand what they're saying, but I mean, I can see it from a guy's perspective now. It's just like a bunch of cackling hens, just
like the Family Guy episode.
Yeah. Right,
Totally. But I think that they're making women devolve. I don't even feel like they're progressive. They're just such petty, petulant babies that I'm embarrassed as a woman to have them represent me. Well,
I mean, they don't represent me. I don't feel that those are good
representations. I guess I don't feel that either, but I guess it's supposed to be a women's show. And they're like, oh, it's a women's show for women. I was like, that's not for me,
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. How did they react to the guy? What did they, were they?
Oh, they were just hypocritical and just bratty as always. The lawyer asked Joy, I think Joy, she was like, as a comedian and a writer, if somebody asked you to write something for Trump, would you? And she basically danced around the question. I was like, you wouldn't. You'd have a hissy fit and die before you would do anything as much as you hate Trump. They're just, I mean, it's like they can't see past their own selves,
Right. We can't cherry pick what we get to be biased and discriminate against. So these people that are saying against gay people or against gay marriage, but then they're being discriminatory against somebody who's a Christian. So now we get to choose which it's okay. It's politically correct to discriminate against a Christian. And it's a slippery slope. Like where does that end when we start giving up people's religious rights? And you and I were talking about this off air. It's like on the vaccine issue, many of the states allow for the mandates religious exemption. So once we start saying, well, religious rights don't matter, so then where's it going to end? Are they going to start using that, citing that Supreme Court case as justification for eliminating religious rights, mandatory vaccines, or against whatever?
Yeah.
But that they will, right? Because they're already trying to do it, and several states have already done it. They've already said religious rights don't matter. So if you can't choose, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, you go on and I'll finish.
Yes, I'm saying if you can't make these decisions based on religion, then, they're suddenly taking that away from people. Then where does it end? Then when is it going to be, I don't know, whatever you believe in. So people are just cherry picking what they feel is just and not really sympathizing or empathizing with the Christian. Why doesn't he get a say?
Yeah, totally. And like I said, again, I don't agree, but I mean, he's not hurting anybody really by refusing to bake a cake when they can go to another one. Now, if it was another baker, if it was a situation where because they were gay, they can't have any kind of cake baked for their wedding, then that's a different story, right?
Yeah.
So, walk away. I remember driving through Utah when I was a kid. We walked into this restaurant. And like literally the music stopped playing and everybody like stared at us. We were like the only Black people. And we just walked backwards and, we didn't like stay and be like, we demand that you serve us because, you're Black. Plus, like, who's to say that, like, especially when it comes to food, who's to say they're not going to do something to the food? Are you going to preside over them while they're making your food? I would just be like, peace, like, I wouldn't want your energy in my cake anyway. If you don't respect my being.
If they have respect for their marriage, I mean, that's, and this guy doesn't believe in it. It almost like it puts a hex on it. It's like, that's a hex on your cake, hex on the marriage. Like, right. This guy, he forced him to make the cake.
So, and I guess I misunderstood it wrong. I thought the gay couple was taking the guy to the Supreme Court, but it's the other way around. The baker's taking his case to the Supreme Court. So I hope he wins. I don't know what the ruling is on it, but I hope he wins. And I hope that, yeah, I mean, I hope it ends there. And I mean, I wish the gay guys, I hope they have a nice wedding. Right. Like, I'm not wishing anything bad on them, but I was just really, like, in the video, I was just, expressing how angry I was, just also at the fact it just kind of like harps on this whole thing of people just being grown-ups and not being able to, they don't have like good coping mechanisms. They're to me, they're acting like kids. They're going to make somebody do something for them, because they just want it like that. And they already sued him, and I think they won. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, wow, you're spending money on suing this dude when you could be putting it into your wedding. Right. I'm sure that, I mean, this guy's cakes were nice, but I'm sure there are other guys or other people that make nice cakes that would support their wedding. But it's just like, they just want revenge. And from what I heard too, the baker was getting death threats, and, people were calling and harassing him. And now, he's lost his business, which I said in the video, I was like, well, that's what you do. You just let other people know that, hey, this person doesn't support, if you want to support them or not, and to just like be done with it and let the free market decide. But they still don't have the right to call him and like harass him and his family. It's a family business, right? So, I mean, right. Who's the haters now? Now it's right. This is this notion. It's this notion too that people have that if you're like non-white, if you are a woman, if you're gay, that you can't be a horrible, violent, evil person. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's kind of harping on this whole thing about like how the whole idea about Nazis and Nazis are white and Nazi and white people have caused all this pain and suffering in the world. And that's just right. BS. That's BS. It's in all of us. It's in all of us to be angelic or demonic. It's in all of us. And for anybody to think, depending on the situation that you're put in, for anybody to think that they're beyond that is absurd.
Well, throughout history, everybody kind of thinks that their group is the one that has been marginalized, and don't realize that throughout history, every group has been marginalized. Every group has been discriminated against. There's been Holocaust in just about every part of the world. It's like they don't, the Jews don't own the Holocaust, and gays don't own
blacks don't own slavery. Blacks don't own slavery.
Right. There's been slavery everywhere. So these things happen throughout history, and you know that there's been.
And they're still happening today. They're still happening today. Exactly. Slavery.
Right. It's happening. It's happening right now as we speak. And discrimination is happening for any number of reasons. So it's like they just don't want, I don't know. It just seems to me like they just don't want people to have religious rights anymore. They're trying to just take away religious rights. That's what it looks like to me. I feel like there's
a lot of frustration between religion. And, I can kind of see where if you're a gay person and you come from a town that's really religious and you're constantly being told that you're going to go to hell because you're gay, I can understand the anger and the frustration and the need for, or the want for revenge. But at the same time, when you adopt that philosophy of hate, then you end up becoming what you hate and you become no better. And that's what people don't seem to understand. So, right. These people that are calling and harassing this guy's daughter who didn't have anything to do with the situation, but you're going to call and harass her and send her death threats and her girl and her family.
Yeah.
Oh, but now you're the Nazi. Like the Antifafas, they're out there saying, oh, we're talking about how, what a horrible racist, homophobic, person that Trump is. But yet they're beating up people, killing horses, burning down cities.
They're the ones that are being aggressive and
violent.
Right.
It wasn't exclusive. This way of being isn't exclusive to Nazis. Basically, what made the Nazis so bad is they were trying to get people to conform to their ideology, and those that didn't fit into their ideology, they wanted to eliminate them. Same thing with these Antifafas. Mm-hmm. They I watch people go and try and interview. Like I tried to interview them and talk to some of them, and they didn't even want to talk to me because I didn't agree with them. you know, and we could find common ground. And it's so frustrating because we want the same things in society. Yeah. But, you know, if you agree on every single thing, you're a horrible, evil person. Where me, I just think that they're wrong and I don't agree. And I think that there's a different way that we can solve problems that we have in this country. But on their point of view, it's like, you're evil and you must be eliminated. Oh, what? What are you? Oh, you're a Nazi. You're no better. You're in that same category. Huh?
It's this narcissistic way of thinking. You're either with me or you're against me. It's like you have to believe the way that I do, or else you're my enemy. You have to have my, whatever it is that my religious belief, my ideology, or else you're the discriminator. You're the, So it's right. So then that's where you're saying they become what they're trying to fight against.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't know. That was the thing that made me upset. So I actually sided with the baker in this situation.
I do too. I side with people's freedom. That's what, you know what I mean?
Freedom of speech and free speech. But yeah, when I was watching The View, they wouldn't even acknowledge that. They were just so, I mean, it's like, I was going to say, it's like watching little girls in play clothes acting like they're grown, but I don't want to even insult little girls, But I guess I hate them so much because I used to like The View. Like,
no doubt.
I used to watch it, and I remember The View first started. And my cousin and I would watch The View together. That was like our thing because she was staying with us, my cousin from Florida, and we were like, and I was home from summer vacation. And we would wake up and like I'd stay up late and then we would wake up and I'd crawl on the couch and we'd like watch The View and and we'd be like, whoa, women,
Well, here I'm about to
I'm just like, oh, don't tell anybody I used to like that show. I'll like kill you if you do. Like,
I know, right? It's like embarrassing.
Once you become an empowered woman, right? I think once you understand your power as a woman, you're not a victim. I think that shows for like women that want to be in the victim state.
Yeah.
They want to like yell at men and blame men for all their problems and not take responsibility and not grow up. But I grew up. I think that's what it was. I grew up. And
then this brings us to, this is a trigger alert, guys, because I'm about to bring up the MGTOW.
Oh, no. Oh, shoot. Hold on.
The View, the women on The View, are a good example of why men go with MGTOW. It's why men know it's MGTOW, men going their own way. And Christine and I have been interacting with some of these self-proclaimed MGTOW men who have given up on courting women, who have given up on, basically they've just given up on women. They do not think that it is worth the trouble. And they have, and a lot of what they're saying is true. And if you look at The View, I would be like, yeah, I wouldn't want to date any of those women, if I were
and you came down and you never like experienced like the good things about dating the opposite sex, and you saw The View, right. And you were like, no, I'd rather date a robot. That's probably
Right, exactly. So we did these videos because we were the problem that we had with MGTOW is that some of them are actually promoting the idea of that you don't, because you're not going to have sex with a woman anymore, use a sexual need. So they're promoting this idea of using the sex robots. And so that's where we got a little bit like, okay, you want to go your own way and not be around women anymore because for whatever reason, because the court system favors women, because in divorce and in child custody states, I mean, we're aware of that. But at the same time, there's some kind of like self-awareness and introspection that takes place as far as if you're choosing that are screwing you and that are being, abusive towards you, then it's kind of on you a little bit. And that's what we were saying. And then this trend is a little bit dangerous because now, we're turning to sex bots.
And, it's still just like, to me, it's very cowardly and it's like giving up. So you had a really bad experience with women. And I did a video on evil psycho demon women. I forgot what it's called, but talking about that, like, I know that these women exist, right. And that they're out there. So you had this bad experience with this horrible woman that maybe baby trapped you or ruined your life or stole your money or whatever. You know, I'm sure there are even worse examples that I've mentioned. But you're going to go to a robot now? Like, you're giving away your own humanity. So you're going to let this woman suck your soul out of you to the point where you're not going to, like, experience love or intimacy anymore. You know, you're going to let her suck the courage out of you to go and experience love and intimacy. And, you know, you're going to go to a robot where you're only going to get physical pleasure. Like, believe me, like you're not going to get, like, I can't even imagine doing that as a woman. If there was like a male robot, I mean, like, I just love men. I love the way they smell. I love, like, the energy, the pheromones. You're like, you know, you're gonna watch the robot sleep.
Yeah.
Well, like, what are you gonna do? You know, and it also just points to the men that are jumping. And you know what? Just to clarify, not all MGTOW men are like that. Some of them are cool, and not all MGTOW men advocate for that, as I've learned. You know, I'm not trying to put them all into that same category, but it also just goes to show me, like, how controlling they are. You know, so you want a woman, you want a robot that doesn't criticize you or talk back to you or challenge you. What a baby. What a coward. Like, these aren't even real men. You know, I'm sure they're going to be like, oh, you're men shaming. Yeah, I'm men shaming. But, well, I'm boy shaming because you're not even a man. If you're going to want to, you know, date a robot over a real woman.
Shame, because we understand that the men have been marginalized since the, you know, post-feminist, since the 1970s feminist movement has done a lot to damage men. But guess what? It's also done a lot to damage women. So we've all been victimized by the same social engineering program. Okay. So that's, so I did a video talking about that, and they seem to act, they like, no. We're not, you know, we weren't victimized by the social engineering. Everything that we say that is even remotely critical, they come on and they go, no. You're not understanding. You don't get it.
Yeah, they need to tell us, because
like, they always need to educate it. And they tell us that they're not a group or an organization, but yet they can tell us, they can explain to us what it is. And we're like, well, you can't represent everybody if you're just saying that it's not a group or an organization. But so it was very frustrating to try and have a discussion on this with a lot of these guys. Some of them were really nice and ended up being very civil and really trying to explain to us what was going on and why they were doing what they were doing. And for those, I think we can agree that that's okay, you know, if you want to go your own way, but do recognize that that's a limited life. You know, you're giving yourself a limited life. If you completely decide to give up on love and family and companionship because you're afraid that because you can't tell which woman is going to do, you know, something evil to you, that one woman is going to take advantage of you in court. And that's what we're trying to come at it, is going like, well, if you introspect and you have a better set of, like, self-awareness, and you have a better set of boundaries, and you start to do this kind of stuff, then you can identify those.
You can sharpen your intuition, and you'll have a better sense of judgment. You'll be able to catch these women the next go around, you know? Yeah. And plus, it's not even romantic, you know, like, you'll end up attracting women as just coworkers, that whole energy, right? You're like, it won't even be like romantic partners. So if you don't figure this out, you're going to have, you might have a cool coworker that you think maybe you're not romantically interested in, but maybe she'll be kind of drama, and she'll bring down, you know, and you're still going to attract that energy into your life, whether it's romantic or not.
They're going to still attract that energy, even from people of the same sex. It's like they will, you know, because, and this is where I was doing this series on narcissistic abuse. It's like, once you start to identify manipulative people, you know, but everybody I know who's been a victim of narcissistic abuse saw red flags from the get-go. Yeah. So I guarantee you that these guys who were burned by these women,
it's not like it comes out of blue. And yeah, and a lot of times other people see it. In cases that I've experienced, even myself, I've told other people, and they're like, no, man, no, you don't know her like I do. I'm like, all right. And then, you know, most of the friends and family like see it before they do, and they try and warn them. And they're just, so it's kind of like they're a victim of their own stubbornness.
Yeah. And then, well, that's it. And their own cognitive dissonance, because if they're in a relationship with a woman who they want to be in a relationship with, for whatever reason, they like her on a certain level, but then everybody around them is telling them, yeah, no, this girl's bad news. And they're getting red flags they're getting intuition shady, or she's not to be trusted, and they ignore those feelings and stuff, then they're setting in their own cognitive dissonance. They made a choice in a way, they might not be aware of that. And it's not to say that and I don't mean to be victim shaming, because I get the fact that you were victimized. Still, even if
that's how you end the cycle. You end the cycle by realizing what you've done, so you don't make the same mistake next time. Because if you're just like, oh, this person did this to me, this person did this to me, then, you're just opening yourself up for anybody to do anything to you, instead of like, standing your ground and protecting yourself.
Exactly. Because those people are going to exist, whether or not you are involved with them or not. They're going to be out there. And
it's predatory behavior. It's kind of like human behavior, right? Where people that since people that don't stick up for themselves, they're going to go after them and try and use them, to their advantage. Whether it's a bully, or whether it's a woman that wants to take advantage of a man that sees she can get something out of, or whether it's a man that's going to take advantage of a woman who sees that, something that he can get something out of.
Yeah, exactly. It goes both ways too. That's the thing, is that the abuse happens on both ways. And so I think, like, self-included. So it's like, it's not, it's an individual thing. It's just each person, they're either an abuser or they're not, regardless of sex.
Oh, totally. And I've read some things, or I've seen this one guy that makes a lot of videos saying it's women are just naturally narcissistic and selfish and horrible, evil people. I'm like, please don't pretend like they're men that aren't setting women on fire because they're rejected, or like pouring acid on their face, or stoning them, or hacking off their breasts, or hacking off their private parts. Like, please don't act like that doesn't exist either. Like that extreme doesn't exist in society, because it does, Women,
I mean, exactly. It goes both ways. And this is kind of in the theme, going back to what we were saying about the gay kicks. It's like, it goes both ways. Like, there's always discrimination, and there's always going to be abusers, whether it's male or female, Christian or Muslim or whatever. It's like, it's the person. You still have to remember that everybody's an individual, and when you see them that way, you have to judge them as an individual. So either this is a person with a character disturbance like narcissism, or they're not, and maybe, but you got to judge that. You got to make a judgment. You don't have to be a prejudge and like be prejudging everybody that you see, but it is okay to actually like judge somebody once you start to observe their behavior. And so if they were in a relationship with a woman, and I can promise you, if she had those tendencies, she was giving them signals and red flags that they were choosing to ignore.
Yeah. Let's also talk about the men that choose really like really conventionally physically attractive women that are vapid, and then they get mad when the woman, like, I had a neighbor, and he was a nice guy, but he would always choose really like, fake hair, fake breast, fake nails, very put together. But, you know what I mean? Like, very, what am I trying to say? Like, very physically, conventionally attractive, right? Like, all these men, he wouldn't even like look at, like, he would always kind of look down on women that weren't like that. And we were friends, so I wasn't like offended by it. I was like, but he would always kind of look down on women that didn't have long hair, didn't have, didn't have the whole quote unquote package, the body and everything. Yet, he'd always, these women, he never failed. And because I would always hear them fighting and her like flipping the lid and stuff. And, they'd always be very vapid, shallow women,
Right.
So, I mean, like, can't you tell like that women that are, I'm not saying look pretty or like not take care of yourself, but if you're spending like, hours and hours getting your hair done, getting your nails done, going to the gym, focus only on your looks, and you don't have anything else, any other interest, anything else to offer, like, that's a red flag right there that maybe they're shallow.
It's like Shallow Hal, you ever seen that movie Shallow Hal with
Jack Black? No.
Yeah, Shallow Hal with Jack Black. I mean, he was basically brainwashed by his father, to just look at women for their external beauty. And then he gets this like mind thing from Tony Robbins to make him see their inner beauty. So then every time he sees a woman, no matter what she looks on the outside, he sees the inner beauty. So then she looks beautiful to him, even though she's like morbidly obese, you know? So then he falls in love with a woman who's like morbidly obese, but her inner beauty is so rich that he falls in love with her because he sees the inner shows on the outside, you know?
Got you.
So it's like these guys who, you know, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. That's a cool concept. I think I remember that movie, the advertisement, now that you mention it. But I hate, you know, I'm like, well, I mean, that's what you get, kind of, you know, like, and my thing is, I've said, like, I think the video I made that, you know, men will pick women like that, and then when they get screwed over, they want to blame their misfortune on all women, you know. Right. Where I've even seen some guy friends have a girl that was like, you know, pretty and had it together. But a lot of men too, I'm not saying all, but a lot of men too are intimidated by a girl that's just as smart as they are, and that can challenge them. So they'd rather go for the vapid girl. And when they do, they complain about her being vapid, basically.
Oh, she's not smart enough for me. But then, you know, but you're like the one who is intimidated by a smart woman, or you get angry when someone's smarter. So they want a woman who's smart, but not like as smart as me. Totally. You know, it's like to be just a little underneath, you know. And it's like, so I mean, and women do this too. You know, we're not saying that this is a one way.
Yeah, sure.
There are a lot of women who will choose guys based on money. And, you know, and then they'll go, I mean, we love this one bit. There was this girl who put an advertisement that she was looking for a rich man, and she was very pretty. You remember?
Yes, I was going to bring that, but you say it.
She was in her 20s and she was pretty, and she was putting it out there that like, oh, I'm looking for a man who's really, you know, who's got a lot of money. And I think, I don't remember if she had like a certain amount a year he was supposed to make or whatever. And she's like, I have like a good, you know, wife for you just because I'm pretty. And then, so one of the guys who wrote back to her, he was like a Wall Street, he had a lot of money. And he said, well, you know, you're not really a good investment, because if all you're bringing to the table is your looks, then you're going to depreciate in value over time. Whereas I have the potential to continue, as, you know, with my business, I can actually continue to make money as I get older. So I'm going to be worth more. And right. And so, but you're going to depreciate because all you bring to the table is your beauty. And so, you know, it was, and I'm sure there's some primal thing that makes us attracted to people on site that's why we end up, you know, we're so hooked on looks. But if that's all you're bringing to the table, then he's right. You're going to depreciate.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that, and you're right, women do this. I mean, I had a girlfriend, we're not friends anymore because, you know, we grew apart because of her shallowness, but she wouldn't date anybody that made less than $100,000 a year. Like, she wouldn't even bother, like, even acknowledging men that didn't make less than that. Yeah. And she was very pretty. And, you know, she had the potential to foster her intellect and become smart and maybe learn some things. But I think at that time she relied a lot on her looks. Hopefully now she has gotten better with that. She was still younger than me. So I'm hoping that, you know, she does have good qualities about her, but I'm hoping that she realized that before she gets older and she realizes her looks start to fade, and, you know, then she has nothing to bring to the table. And these are the women that, you know, they get like lots of plastic surgery, you know, and Botox. And I think Botox, you're putting botulism in your face, by the way. So Botox makes you crazy. You know, as being from LA, there's a lot of women like that too. All these plastic surgery Barbie dolls that are just out of their mind. They're out of their mind.
And it's bizarre to me because I'm seeing plastic surgery amongst people. It used to just be wealthy, but now even just middle class people are getting good jobs, you know, and it's like, not in an area field that they would need that, you know, people working with children and stuff like that. And it's like, well, why do you need double D boobs, you know? And it's just, and they're not, you know, on a teacher's salary and stuff like that. It's just a sort of warped priorities, I guess. But it's very common in Southern California. It's very common in the LA area that you see that, you know. And this brings me to another question. Like someone brought up on one of our pages, I had posted an article about how there's like 40% of millennials say that they would be willing to get into a relationship with a robot. And so somebody commented that the millennials are the most narcissistic generation thus far. So I don't know. I mean, it certainly seems that way. It certainly does seem that it is getting worse over time because of the way that because of the things that we're valuing. You know, we're valuing, and we're getting so far away from just valuing being an interesting person, right? And then just being, you know, consumed with how we look and putting on all this Botox and all this fake stuff. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, you know, there's part of me that doesn't want to believe that. I'm like, I'm like, were they kidding?
Right, exactly.
Too. I'm like, were they just like, yeah, I date a robot? Like, do they even know what that, do they even know what that means? Do they even know what intimacy is between people? I mean, I don't know. Like, I think about some of the kids I used to teach, and they're in that generation, and I'm just like, do they really do that?
Well, yeah, the thing that I will say about
this, I can't really picture. I just can't really. I can picture the MGTOW thing because they're angry, right, and they're with the robots, and they, you know, they have sexual frustrations, and at the moment, it's really about the need to relieve their sexual frustrations. I don't think it's going to take the place of intimacy, so they're still going to be frustrated, and I wouldn't be surprised if the suicide rate grows high in men that are choosing that lifestyle with the robot. Because, you know, they need that. You need this human heart connection, you know, even if you're a gay person, you know, even if you're, you know, if you're having a love relations with members of the same sex, you still need that love, that intimacy. You know, you're not going to get that from a robot. You're just not, you know. What happens if they're having sex and it breaks down? What do you do?
Right, then what, right? You know,
what do you do? What happens? You're like, you're having sex and then the robot like freezes and then like you're stuck.
Right,
you're like stuck. Like that guy in the little kid in the Christmas story that had his tongue stuck to the pole. Right. It's like your privates inside a robot.
Right. Yeah, you're stuck. I mean, it's but I think it's shorts on you. You know what I mean? And it electrocutes.
Huh?
What if it has a short on you and then it
electrocutes you? Oh my God, that's the worst.
It's just, that wouldn't be very pleasant, you know, act of sex. But anyway, the
so the millennials. I kind of dodged your questions. You were asking me what I think about that. I guess I don't take it seriously. I don't know. Like I just kind of think they're joking, and if they're true, it just makes me sad, because I really feel like with technology, the human race is going to split. I think it's going to become a time where you're going to have to choose your humanity over the technology that's happening. And
the millennials have never lived without it is the thing. Is like, we know a time without the internet. You know, we knew a time when but I feel like when I see the millennials, a lot of times they don't really understand what privacy means. You know, they can just share. It's like, to them, everything is online. Everything that exists is in the technological world. You know what I mean? Like they don't even, they don't know a time without cell phones. They don't know a time without the internet. And these are things that, so for me, it's hard to understand, but I wonder what it's like for them, because to them, it's just a natural evolution of technology.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't understand intimacy still because of the.
Well, wouldn't that understanding begin to diminish with that if they're just like in their face, you know, in their selfies and this and that, and everything is about, you know, and this is going back to that video, that Louis C.K. video we saw a long time ago. Sorry, we know Louis like had sexual misconduct, but but it was.
We're acknowledging that, but he's still funny. Okay, moving on.
No, but I mean, but he said a lot of things. He said was that the whole idea of this, like, all this technological is taking away people's ability to feel empathy, because they're not looking at the face-to-face connection. They're not having that intimacy. So if you tell, if one high schooler tells another high schooler via text, you're ugly and you're fat, they don't get to see that person's reaction, right? So then they don't develop the empathy, because they're just seeing it online. And it's like, even for myself, you know, when I've argued with people online, like, it would be a lot harder in person, because if I really saw how I was hurting that other person's feelings, I might be like, okay, well, you know, I'm not going to say that. But, you know, and I mean, but when people do it to you and then you respond, right, you're like, I'm just responding, you know, to what they're saying, because they're saying these really shitty things. And so I'm trying to defend myself. But then, I don't know, like, isn't it kind of hard if the person is like crying or something like that right in front of you to be like, okay, forget it, I'm not going to say that anymore. You know, so that's how you develop that sympathy and then empathy for other people. Without that, maybe they're not really understanding what intimacy really is, because they're not developing empathy at the same level that we used to, that previous generations did, because we didn't have all this stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like
I see what you mean. I guess it's just something I can't really wrap my head around. You know, I can't. I don't know. And I think millennials. So what age group are they? Do you know? Because I think I just feel like, though, too, once you have that connection with somebody and it's special, then you wouldn't want that with if it was a good thing. Not that it turned you off. You wouldn't want that with a robot. I just think that. I think that we can maybe detract people, or like steer people, or just distract people from their humanity, but I don't think you can completely erase it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think we can.
You know what I mean? Like I was saying with the robots, I think that this guy, they're gonna be satisfied, they're gonna be content for a while, but then they're gonna know that something is missing, and they're gonna like be really unhappy. And I'm saying, I wouldn't be surprised if the suicide rates go up in that group of men that choose to do that, because eventually I feel like they're gonna feel empty.
Yeah, I don't see how they couldn't, you know. And
I'm not even offended as a woman, because I think I said this on the YouTube page in front of the comments. I think the guys are like, "Oh, we don't need you." I was like, "Well, I wouldn't want you either." Right. So I'm not trying to get with a guy that's angry at women and wants to like have sex with robots. Like, I'm really not. But exactly. I'm just saying for you, because I have empathy, because I'm not a woman that's like, you know, wants to see men burn and stuff. I have empathy. It just makes me sad that you're not going to know this, just as a fellow human being, that you're going to sacrifice this and you're going to lose yourself because of this.
And they're falling in line with the eugenics agenda to basically destroy, you know, those types of relationships, families and people, you know, procreating and having and building these strong units, right? These strong units that make us stronger. People in our lives genuinely love us, and we genuinely love us. So we have these people that you would, you know, really protect with all your might, with your life, right? And then these guys aren't really going to be invested in saving the world and saving anything, because why? They don't really have any intimate relationships. They don't have kids. They don't have wives that, you know, most men, you know,
I'm really curious to know.
Who would kill for their wife and their children. Most men who take that road, they will kill for their wives and their children. Getting divorced, even if they end up, you know, not getting along later on down the road, a lot of them will still look at that person as their responsibility for protection. In a very primal kind of way. I'm not just talking about child support. I'm talking about like in a primitive kind of way. You know, they would still protect that person if some shit went down. And so they're taking it now. MGTOW aren't going to care. You know, they're not going to be invested in it. They're just going to protect themselves, you know. And then there's the generation of single women who are going to be a lot defenseless.
You know, it's like, you know, I just thought about like MGTOWs get cats. I mean, robots and women get cats.
Sex robots? Right on. You should have, right.
You know what? Cats are actually, not that I wouldn't want, you know, that I think that women should have sex with cats, but like at least cats are like a life force. you know?
Right. At least that's an organic being.
Yeah, you know, but that's what it is. Because I was like, I haven't seen any talk of you know, women getting robots. I'm just saying.
Well, one of the MGTOWs posted something that women actually outnumber men in buying sex bots. I don't know if it's right. I didn't verify it or not.
Oh, but okay. Is it a full-on sex bots, or is it just like a you know, like
I think it's like sex
robotic
sex bot is. I think it's the sex dolls. Like women outnumber men in purchasing.
I wouldn't want to waste money on that. Those things are probably really expensive.
Yeah, right. I mean,
did you see that movie? I mean, that movie with Ryan Gosling. That it was a cute movie though. It was called.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I know. Exactly
I can't think of the name of it. Where he has a relationship.
Lars and the Real Girl. Lars and the Real Girl.
Yeah. It
was the one where he married, or not married, but the doll. It was like the full sized female.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of. That's sort of what the MGTOW, you know.
But at the end, it ended up having. It was sweet because if you guys that are watching haven't seen the movie, it's a sweet movie because the people in the town love him so much that they decide to play along with him. And then at the end, he ends up actually, I guess, getting a real relationship. But it was whatever trauma he went through. It was him like trying to deal with his trauma. You know,
it was the trauma in the family. Like they had lost both their parents, him and his brother, and he lived like next door to his brother. And his brother was married, and his wife was pregnant, and she was the one who and his brother was kind of like, no, that's crazy. Like he can't be walking around with the mannequin. And then she was kind of like, no, I get it. You know, he's lonely. He's this and that. Like, let's just play along. He'll let it go eventually. And so then they did.
Yeah, you know, and it was cool because you could be like, oh, this movie's trying to normalize sex dolls. But no, I don't think because of that element, I don't think it was. I think it's really trying
to. They're working through something. It's a process. Yeah. So there's a certain level of loneliness, and then there's a fear that goes along with the intimacy. Being intimate with people and being vulnerable to people is very scary. There's no doubt about that. When you allow yourself to fall in love with somebody, when you allow them to have so much, you have so much at stake in this other person. That's a very scary process. Like, ain't no joke. But it's worth it because otherwise I don't understand what we're even doing here. You know, it's kind of like, I don't understand. I don't understand. And I told the MGTOWs this. I go, look, guys, I'm not trying to diss you. I'm not trying to say that, you know, all that isn't true, but I just do not understand. And one of them said that, no, it's not even, it's not an illusion at all. It's 100% real. And, you know, but that's what he said, that they believe, he said they believe love is an illusion. And that men, he said something to the effect of men are naturally romantic and women are more interested in the logistics of it. And I was like, right. And I was like, and that's what he said. And I was like, well, not me, you know, I'm a total romantic.
His experience, but not everybody's experience.
Right. And I'm saying, and I get that, you know, I'm one woman of many, but I can tell you, you know, that's not women's nature because it's not certainly mine. It's not yours. You know, we don't look at it just in logistics. You know, I married for love and not money, you know? Yeah. So.
Oh my God, if you did, you'd be so rich, man. Like.
I know, right? But I just didn't, you know, that wasn't it just never occurred to me to do something like that. But you know, some women they might go into like the one we talked about earlier, the pretty girl who just wanted to marry for money and was just willing to make it as like a business exchange, pretty for money. But it's not, you know, I mean, but I never looked at it like that. It never even crossed my mind to look at it that way. So, you know, I just fell in love and then got married and had babies. And that's where I was telling the MGTOWs, I'm like, look, y'all, I've been with my husband for 16 years. I got no dog in this fight. Okay. But this is what life is all about in the sense that, you know, I'm just looking at it from a sense of like introspection because I've been doing all these videos about narcissism and introspection. And I think you guys are victims of narcissistic abuse. And you're not introspecting on that. You're not recognizing the fact that you do hold some accountability in this. Yeah. And that, you know, and then there's a role that you played that put you in this position where you're so afraid of intimacy that you have to walk away from it and give up.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, you don't understand. And then I just triggered them like nuts. And then they were just like, you don't understand. And I didn't understand anything and blah, 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 blah. And so I just finally said, all right, guys, thank you for, educating me on everything. And I hope that you guys, look at some of the other stuff that we're doing on our page, because we've always had a focus on healing. And that is our primary core focus, because that is what everybody needs. And if it's emotional healing, and all of it is important because it all connects. So if you have some physical ailment, you want to heal emotionally too, because, if you don't, it's going to hinder your ability to get better, no matter what it is. The physical is going to, hinder, and it's going to go the other way too. So,
and we're always it's going to come out in other ways too, not just your intimate relationship. It's going to come out in the friends, the people you attract, your business decisions, like everything.
Right. Exactly.
It's not only going to be like limited to that. And I'm curious to know too, these guys that are like really hardcore and taking that route, like what type of relationships they have as far as friends, right? Like, do they just have acquaintances? Do they really have deep, like long lasting friends as well? Do they? I mean, I kind of doubt it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they may have do they just have a lot of Facebook friends? And
they come on our page and comment for long diatribes, so they have plenty of time on their hands, because we don't have a ton of.
Yeah, like I mean, maybe a few comments here and there back. And I'm like, dude, like you should just get a blog. Some people I'm like, just go get a blog, but it's free.
Podcast, get your own podcast, go blogging, dudes, because you sure have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
But they come on our page and then they want to talk to us about it and educate us on it. And I'm just like, all right, thanks. But we're all about the healing. We always have been. That's always been our primary focus.
Yeah, for sure.
Healing from whatever. It's like, emotional, vaccine injury. That was a big one for us always. But I mean, everything, allergies, cancer, those were the things that we always tried to cover. And so this is us looking at it from an emotional maturity, emotional intelligence perspective. And, and for the future of humanity and our lives together in this big thing. So
I think that's a good point to wrap it up at, if that's okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to like call you on it. Huh?
I said, let's wrap her up. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that's a good place to stop. Sorry, I didn't have a more like classy way of like letting you know. But I've been keeping the time. I got to charge my computer, and I want to go back and anyway, rewatch the tape and make sure the broadcast went through. Hey guys, next week, what time? April is
11 a.m. Pacific time.
11 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Central time. We will be interviewing the infamous Dr. Andrew Wakefield.
Yeah. And so please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a ridiculously low number of subscribers.
There's a reason why that is, because we just said this real fast too. We when we started doing this, some of you guys that are new to our page, we've had a podcast since 2011, and we did 109 episodes, and all of our podcasts are archived. But we didn't have any business sense. We didn't really know. We just we'll just put a video up here every once in a while. We didn't think about making money from it. We just did it for our own catharsis, basically.
Yeah. And it was a journey we got a lot more out of it than we expected, I think, too, because we were just getting into it. But we have a small number. We didn't really put up a lot of our shows on the YouTube channel. So, but all the shows that when we were with the network UCY TV are up. You can find those on YouTube. And we have them on SoundCloud.
And on SoundCloud. You can find us on SoundCloud too. The archives are on SoundCloud.
Yeah, so follow us there. And we're looking for Patreon so that we can pay for this software that we're using to make these videos. So please help us out if you can. And that's
and we're also, and a portion of our proceeds will go to help gender confused frogs or sponsor a truther that can't afford to buy their own tinfoil hat. So
that's right. And we're hoping to be able to give giveaways and things like that. We'll announce this stuff later for people who make a certain level of donation. So, keep tuned, and we'll be back. Peace, truth, and love, guys.
Peace, truth, love, guys. Bye-bye. Okay, I gotta be on this. I gotta stop it. All right. Okay, thanks. But okay. Oh, you can? Shit. Okay, hold on. I thought I ended the broadcast.